Unpopular opinion, you actually never have to sleep train if you don't want to. So I do think that we're led to believe that it's almost a rite of passage that we all need to do it, or when we're exhausted and we're frustrated, that that's our only option. I don't necessarily I don't recommend sleep training, but I also don't believe in wait it out. So how I support families is with a bit of an in-between approach. Let me give you an example of something or a sleep challenge that one parent might find, hey, I need to sleep train. So if you maybe are bouncing on a yoga ball for 45 minutes at bedtime, or finding that you're needing to bounce your child back to sleep in the middle of the night, and that you don't want to do that anymore. Number one, it is important to know that motion not only helps us fall asleep, but it also helps us stay in a deeper sleep. So motion works a lot of the time for babies, and it will help them fall asleep faster. So anytime you're making changes around sleep and you're removing motion, it is important to remember that it might take longer, and that's okay. But what I might say to that family is, are you sure your baby's even tired? So sometimes we get caught up in following all these wake windows in books. We feel our baby needs to be asleep at the 2-hour mark, and actually they're their own unique person, and maybe it's 2 hours and 45 minutes for them. So one thing I will suggest to parents is starting later and seeing, okay, hey, if you start 40 minutes later, do you only have 5 minutes of bouncing? And is that okay? Or is it not okay? It is important to know that however you put your baby to sleep or back to sleep in the middle of the night is really no one else's business. And it's also not causing harm to your baby for you to parent your child to sleep. So if you love it, keep it. And then if the parent says to me, hey, I'm doing 5 minutes of bouncing, I still don't like it, my back is hurting, we might move from bouncing to rocking. How do you feel about that? Now that you're in the rocking chair and you feel more supported in the chair, how do you feel about that? So again, it is important to also know that babies' brains rely on patterns. So anytime you shift a pattern, your baby is going to react and tell you that they're frustrated because they're used to bouncing, and now you're not bouncing, now you're rocking. Or you've gone from rocking to holding, or you've gone from holding to lying down beside your baby, whatever the transition that you've decided to make. And they're going to be upset and tell you, I'm frustrated. Normally you bounce and you're not bouncing. And so when these types of situations come up, oftentimes parents will say, well, I need to sleep train then. Well, actually, it's okay to shift patterns and be present with your baby. It's okay to say, normally I bounce, but we're not bouncing, and I love you, and I'm gonna snuggle you, and I'm gonna kiss you, and I'm gonna cuddle you, and do all those great things. I always say, treat your baby in the same way that you treat any other person that you love who's having a hard time. Stay with them, be present with them, physically hold them, look at them, kiss them, love them through any of the changes that you're making. So instead of going to sleep training, we're saying, actually, I don't wanna bounce anymore, so I'm gonna set this limit because it doesn't feel good, and I'm going to support you as I shift and change the pattern. And after a few nights, your baby will get used to, oh, hey, we're not bouncing anymore. We're going to actually hold, and I'm going to snuggle, or I'm going to feed, or I'm going to cuddle. So these are some kind of ideas around making changes to sleep. And these are things that really you can do around, it's like from the beginning, from day 2. We're not bouncing anymore. We're not rocking anymore. Yes, it's going to take some time. Yes, your baby's probably going to be upset, but if their tears are triggering you, and every time you're supporting that emotion, you're really struggling, then again, it's not a sleep challenge necessarily. It is a fear of emotion. And that's something that we can do the work on ourselves as parents. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to summarize this in one quick little snippet. But yeah, I have lots of ideas on my page.